Alright, here we are with the Celica up on the lift, getting ready to pull the engine out. I've already started on getting some of the suspension out, still got to drain all the fluids. Let's grab a flashlight. So we can see CV axles are torn, or the boots are torn, so we'll probably have to replace those. It's already got coils, but we are going to raise it up because this thing is stupid low. You can see all the carnage here from it being slammed. Already cut the exhaust out. It was a terrible setup. It was some jank shit. So we'll definitely have to replace that. It's supposedly got a rear main leak. I believe it. Looks like a little bit of an oil pan leak, even though they said that they got it resealed recently. Shift cable linkage is torn. You can see there. You can see the exposed wire. There we go. Yep, shift cable linkage, probably going to need to get replaced. Other than that, everything else looks alright. Trans fluid smelt a little burnt. Just a second here, we'll get the oil out and see how shiny that is, considering the noises that it's making. In the rear, everything looks alright. There was a ratchet strap holding something together, holding these two knuckles together. Don't know why yet. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. Bushing looks alright. Yeah, definitely gonna raise this thing up. Yeah, I'll get back to you once we get the oil set up to get drained. We'll see how it looks. Let's see how this oil looks. Oh, that is not very good. Surprisingly not super shiny. No, I'm seeing some flakes in there. Definitely a little milky. I can see some shine in there. Yeah, that ain't very good. But that was to be expected. But not as bad as I was honestly expecting. I was expecting to see some big chunks, but could be worse. So now that the fluids are draining, we have to disconnect the engine harness from the PCM, which is up underneath the dash. The reason why I have these pig mats down is I think I have a water leak somewhere, probably coming from the window seals. There's a bunch of nasty shit coming up from the carpet, so I'm gonna try to soak up all that stuff. Eventually, I'm going to shampoo the carpets, get all that nasty stuff up, and get all the odors out. Alright, we got the engine harness pulled out. Basically all I had to do was pull back this carpet, pull out the radio and all that, just so you can get down in there. Now what you have is you got your PCM right there, you got some more connectors right up there. One of them is easier to get from up here. Basically just pull it out the one for the blower motor, I believe that's what that is, and then you just pull it up out through the engine bay. He's got a couple 10 mils right there, and yep, you just lay it out there. That way it makes it a lot easier to pull the harness off when the engine is out. So now we're going to start working on getting everything else unhooked up here, and then we can start dropping the subframe. We are just about ready to drop the engine out. Got all the subframe bolts loose down there. Got the engine supported with a couple of jacks, because it's for the most part separate from the subframe, so we're going to have to support the engine separately. We got the subframe itself on jack stands. Got everything loose, all the fluids drained. We may find another ground somewhere that I missed, but should have everything unhooked, and I'll get back to you once we get this thing dropped out. Here we are, we got the engine out. Made a little bit of a mess, but you know, that's gonna happen. It's my first time pulling a front wheel drive motor, so can't say I'm not surprised. Not very many hiccups. The only real issue that was kind of a pain was the steering shaft. Gonna have to use a pry bar to loosen it up, and then use the lift to kind of pull it off the steering shaft. But other than that, it went fairly smoothly. Tomorrow we're gonna get this thing off the subframe, get it on a stand, and go to teardown. Here we are at day 2. Got the engine out of the subframe. My plan was originally to just take the engine out and leave the transmission in there, but there's no way to really get to the torque converter bolts without pulling the entire powertrain out. After getting this thing out, I can truly see how absolutely filthy all this is. So once I get it up, bolted back up to the car, I'm going to pressure wash and degrease this whole thing, including the transmission and all that stuff, but especially this engine bay and the subframe, because we want everything to be nice and clean before going back together. Subframe is back in, it's back on the ground. We raised it up about 2 inches in the front, about 1.5 inches in the rear. Might have to do a little bit more in the rear until I get it to where I'm happy with how it's sitting on the ground. Got the engine sitting on a tire. Next we will get it sitting on the stand, so we'll have to get the transmission separated. We're going to put that on a little dolly there. Once that's on the stand, I went out and got this cart to put all the parts on, keep everything nice and organized. So next time we'll see what kind of carnage we'll find inside of this engine.